away.
Thank you. Hi. Okay. So my name is Josh. You may remember me from such films as Simpsons quote. Anyways, yeah, there you go. Somebody got it. No, actually, you may have heard of me from my relentless posts on Reddit. R Fukuoka. Anybody?
Yeah.
I always post about my music and my photography. Some of you downvote me, but hey, whatever. I'm not judging. I'm a Californian transplant living in Itoshima, and I work as a freelance photographer around Kyushu. I do school photography around Asia, the Middle East, and the US, and I'm a freelance tour guide for students visiting from the US. I also do drug testing for cargo ships, the crew coming to Japan. I do renovation work for a ryokan that's coming up in Nobuichi Gorge. And I'm a supplier for secondhand clothing sold in the UK. So basically I do whatever to make some money. But the main topics I've chosen to discuss are things I'm more familiar with, which are music and cults. So I'm a fourth generation Jehovah's Witness, which is Ehobah Shonin desu. Up until my late 30s, otherwise known as JW. JW is the nickname. So you'll recognize JWs immediately if you pay attention to them. They most notably knock on your door on Saturdays and Sundays and wake you up. They leave you their literature with the goal to study the Bible with you. And ultimately they want to study the Bible with you to baptize you and save you. They believe that the world, which is controlled by Satan, is doomed to be destroyed tomorrow, maybe the next day. And the only way to be saved is to become a Jehovah's Witness. And it's called Armageddon, the final day where God will kill everybody except for Jehovah's Witnesses. God will return the earth to its paradise form, how Adam and Eve were living back in the old days, with only Jehovah's Witnesses allowed to live in that paradise earth, and faithful Bible characters. So JWs stand outside train stations. Doink. Okay, this is their belief. The world is dying and Jehovah's Witnesses are saved. Yay. So you'll see these people outside Kyudai Gakintoshi and other areas. Basically, they can't approach you, but they have a big smile on their face, and they want you to come to them so they can give you some literature and study the Bible. So they offer pictures of paradise, and then also some sad pictures of war. And usually they'll have the title like, "Is this life all there is? Why do we suffer?" So it appeals to your heart. So the intro song that I just played, is the first song I learned on guitar at the age of 12. It's a 50s surf rock song, one among just a few genres permitted by my former religion to listen to and play. In fact, males were sometimes asked to confess if they listened to rap or rock, like heavy metal music. And if they comply, then they get privileges in the congregation or in the organization. And that greatly appealed to members of the congregation to be like higher up. So males were also pressured into giving public discourses, public speaking, in both our assigned congregation and outside congregations as guest speakers. My first speech I gave was at the age of 6 years old. During my time in the religion, I prepared and gave talks ranging from 5 minutes to hour-long lectures. And in total, somewhere around 2,000 talks over the span of 30 years. And the purpose of these public discourses was to introduce or brainwash those in attendance. And my goal here hasn't changed. I'm joking. So the goal of the presentation that I prepared, they gave me an assignment, and I researched and I gave the presentation, and it was to encourage people. But in reality, it was disguised guilt tripping of congregation members to give more to serve the religion. Maybe to donate more money to the religion too, and to give up worldly pleasures to please God. And the topics assigned to me were very, very vast, but they all centered around the goal of brainwashing. So for example, for young children, if I was given an assignment, my goal was to get them to avoid spiritistic and violent entertainment. For example, Harry Potter. Seriously. Lord of the Rings and even Pokemon. Dame, 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 zanbu dame. And it was to discourage older kids from participating in after-school activities, celebrating birthdays, having friends outside schools, celebrating birthdays and even holidays, because the parents were not there. Sometimes they would feel a little bit free to celebrate on their own. But my goal was to make them have a conscience to refuse that, even in school. It was also to discourage higher education. And I regularly discouraged adults from forming relationships with those outside the organization. I warned them to avoid social activities with coworkers. I provided guidance for choosing marriage partners with only those in the religion. And uniform dress and grooming, so everybody's hair has to be nice. Everybody's clothing has to be nice too. And it was also to get couples to render their due. So, because we didn't want couples to be cheating on each other or even looking at pornography. That was also a sin. So thankfully, during that time, I had a creative outlet that I was allowed to pursue. One older gentleman gave me an acoustic guitar, our family an acoustic guitar. And I, being the oldest of three boys, I took an interest in playing guitar. And I got some lessons from a member of our congregation and started learning surf rock and 50s ballads. We couldn't do metal, we couldn't do anything else. So since I had somewhat of a musical instrumental skill, I was asked to perform at Jehovah's Witness weddings. Of course, most were instrumental versions of our songs that we sang on our 3 weekly meetings. For example, this one. This one is called Now We Are One. I'm brainwashing you guys right now. Anybody want to study the Bible with me? Sorry. It's been a long time since I played the song. 다이저브. Anyways, this song is called Now We Are One, and I totally forgot it. Because I'm unbrainwashed now. Anyways, from there I started to get a taste of rock music. I bought albums and discovered punk compilations and acquired a sizable CD collection of about 100 or so albums. But I avoided any album that contained that explicit lyrics sticker. Maybe Americans and Canadians would know about that. And I tried my best to find the edited versions without the profanity words at Walmart. And if I really liked the band. But I later, as I grew older, I just stopped caring and I just bought the unedited releases. That is until my mother just started to dig through my CD collection and discovered the graphic content. Goddamn, asshole, bitch, shit, motherfucker. My mother picked me up from my part-time job. I was working construction at the age of 18 and quoted those above words to me, saying that she was not angry, but just shocked and disappointed, which made me feel even worse. And when we arrived home, I found my whole CD collection scattered on the floor with every profanity word highlighted in the lyrics of my CDs. So I ended up throwing away everything I owned, even if it didn't have any profanity or sexual innuendos. But looking back, it's quite humorous. I can laugh now, but at the time it was quite humiliating. So a few days later, after that incident, I informed my friend, whom I shared a love of punk and rock music. Hi, irasaimasu. Oh, okay. And I informed my friend of my situation, and he sympathized with me. He felt a little bit bad. But then the next time I saw him, he informed me too that he threw his whole collection away too, which was at least 3 times the amount that I had. And he wasn't living with his parents like I was, but his reasoning really struck me. He said, "I don't want my music collection to be the cause of my death in Armageddon." So this really illustrates the thinking of people in high control groups or cults. In our case, as Jehovah's Witnesses, it was that the end is coming at any time, and any hidden sins, like for example profanity in your collection of music, will be judged. God can see everything, and will have eternal destruction. Basically, our family and friends survive Armageddon, they go to paradise, without us, because we committed sins. As mentioned before, all members, particularly males, were encouraged and pressured to dedicate more time and more energy to the religion. Higher education was off the table, so no university, as was full-time jobs, unless you had a family. It was then that I decided to become an unofficial missionary, basically unpaid missionary. I work, I save up, and I go travel and do what I can for God. So first I went to South Africa for 8 months as a builder, and then an underground missionary in China, where I lived for 12 years. But living in China, it kind of provided a measure of freedom that Jehovah's Witnesses and other countries didn't experience. It was drilled in us from the beginning when we first arrived that we shouldn't let coworkers know, or anyone else in close quarters know, that we were underground preachers. They could, after all, tell the police, and that provided the real risk of jail. Some of my friends did go to jail because of that. It was there that I met like-minded people around my age, and we started a rock band. Think. Yay. We called ourselves Stegosaurus with a question mark. We included the question mark because we didn't know how to spell that particular dinosaur's name. We weren't college graduates, okay? So we performed at underground music venues all over China, and we even opened up for some international touring acts. Of course, young people our age in the congregation, they supported us. They came to our events, but we never mingled with people outside our religion. So we performed our songs, we stuck to our little group. We never went up to the band room because people in China were actually smoking weed, they were doing lines of cocaine, they were drinking heavily. Yes, even in China. But we didn't do that, of course. Being in a band did bring a share of troubles, too. So we were slightly rebellious. That brought about revoking of congregation privileges, and it brought about meetings in the back room with the older people. And eventually they said that we were bad association in front of the congregation, but we repented, so we were kind of like not good association, not bad association. But in the end, that led to us breaking up the band. And we were focusing on our spirituality to build up our rapport with the congregation. But that didn't stop my love of worldly music. Later, my brother and I started a band, and soon afterwards, a down-to-earth, cool elder, which is the term for a leader in the congregation, he joined our band as a bassist. And in the practice studio, we spent an equal amount of time practicing as we did discussing what it meant to be a true Christian, which slightly differed from the teaching of the organization. But voicing opinions outside of the organization, even in a small group, meant immediate removal of the congregation and shunning from all family and friends. So it was around this time that I proved myself to be, because we quit the band, I proved myself to be a good person, an exemplary male, and I was asked to take on the responsibility of being an elder, or like a leader in the congregation. Among many other responsibilities that an elder has is to listen to confessions and give punishment. So that meant that I was going to be a deciding factor if someone deserved shunning from their family and friends and faced everlasting destruction at Armageddon. But I didn't take the privilege. This was too much for me to handle, and I finally allowed myself to do objective research outside my religion. So up until the age of 36, I avoided any kind of negative article or video about our religion because we were told that Satan controlled the world, including media, including political powers, and even education. It took a few months, but I finally realized that I was a fourth-generation cult member. Everything I preached against in other religions, I had found the exact same flaws in my beliefs. The reality was very hard to disseminate. I had no truth. I would not be getting everlasting life, and I knew nothing. Telling my wife would most likely end in a failed marriage, as she would believe that I would be doomed to die in Armageddon, and she would continue on into paradise without me, and possibly even find another faithful partner. And it took a long time for me to build up the courage to confess that to her. In the end, she didn't leave me. We left the religion together after a few years. Ultimately, we consider ourselves atheists now, not judging anybody who's Christian, but we both realize that we don't have forever anymore. We have our present life, which only makes this life more meaningful for us, because it's the only one that we get. My wife entered university right after we exited the religion, and she graduated this past April in psychology. Yay! I'll pass along your claps to her. And we currently live our life without pressure and guilt to conform that we experienced our whole lives. So as a sort of therapeutic release, I created a series of songs about my feelings and thinking when I was waking up from the indoctrination. And I'll perform one of them today, and it's a melancholy kind of dance tune in Mandarin. I chose Mandarin because that's a language that I was using to preach for nearly my adult life at that time. So it's the point of view of a male asking for the hand of a partner, they're both in the cult, while cognitive dissonance and the pleasures and sin overtake them, thus ending their opportunity to obtain everlasting life. Basically, this is their death sentence. So I'll translate it and then I'll perform the original. So the English is very rough, it doesn't rhyme, but in Mandarin it kind of does. So let me find it. Think. Okay. So if you become my lover, we'll live together forever. I can't offer a permanent home, but we'll live blissfully. If you become my lover, we'll travel the world, forego our education, but we'll be a happy couple. Come, take my hand, a carefree and frivolous night. Your eyes are so beautiful. Come, let's party until dawn, or until our lives come to an end, whichever comes first.
Oh, sorry. Is this okay?
It's
Should I
fine.
do it?
Here, let me turn it up. Yeah, thank you. 如果你变我的爱人，我们一直想永远，将不会接受教育，当变好开心的夫妇。如果你变我的爱人，环游世界的时间，将不会接受教育，当变好开心的夫妇。来，拿着我的手， 手，幸福的夜晚，你的眼睛最好看。来，缓缓直到了明，或者生命结束，以先到之为主。大丈夫だよ。Awkward. 如果你变我的爱人，我们一直想永远，将不会接受教育，当变好开心的夫妇。如果你变我的爱人，环游世界的时间，将不会接受教育，当变好开心的夫妇。ありがとうございます。はい、終わりです。
So okay, thanks, Josh. Okay, we got a good amount of time for questions. So the floor is open.
Yeah, please.
So you mentioned shunning. Is shunning like the Amish version of shunning, where the congregation turns their back and the people are gone forever, or is it more like a temporary exclusion? What's shunning?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not an expert because I never was a Jehovah's Witness. This is all fake.
Oh.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Yeah. Shunning is basically the Amish version. So they are not allowed to greet you. You can come to the meetings, the gatherings, but you're supposed to sit in the back, even if you're with family. So, for example, in the congregation, nobody's supposed to even smile. They recently changed the rules because Europe is leading the way in human rights. So, in Europe, they changed the course of GW's shunning for everyone. So now you can kind of like greet them and say hello. That's it. Nothing else. Family, you can have regular, if they're minors, if they're children who are baptized and they leave, you can still communicate, but once they're 18, shunning is 100%. Yeah, you can't communicate with them anymore. There's even videos of like a mom waiting for their daughter to call, and then she sees, and then she's like, she's disfellowshipped, she's kicked out of the congregation, so I can't even pick up the phone. Yeah. The reason is because if you get rid of all the communication, that's one of the reasons to come back.
So they can come back after the shunning?
Yes, if they are repentant, and it's about 6 months to 1 year of coming to the meetings, 3 meetings a week, and sitting nicely and talking to the elders to say, I'm done with these sins. I've repented. Yeah.
Did you ever think of repenting?
No, that's a really good question. My faith in God diminished after I did my research. Not just in my religion, not just in my faith, but God in general. For personal reasons. Yeah. It's just, yeah, basically what I preached against, I saw in my own faith, and that was my only true faith. So basically, I have nothing to believe in. So yeah, I don't believe in any organized religion at all, so I wouldn't repent, and I never thought about it. Yeah, good question, thank you. Oh yeah.
When you said you started music, it was like 50s rock and surfer rock stuff. Why specifically that genre, not like even jazz or classical? Was it just the situation, or is that what the...
I guess it's like appeals more to that lifestyle. So for example, I'm not like putting any like classifications, but yeah, people who don't have education, I'm not trying to, anyways, they appeal more to like something simple. So JWs, it's like anything that's catchy and fun and not too crazy. I didn't meet too many people in the religion who liked jazz or something a bit complicated. There were a few who like had education and like lived outside the world and came into the religion, and they're like, oh, I love jazz. I love like the the funkiness, like the crazy mix and grooves. It's unconventional. But for 50s rock music, it's just like simple times, simple songs. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's just like 1950s style vibe that people had in the religion. Yeah.
Tom? And then-
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So what do you consider a cult? So we have like Islam, and it's pretty crazy. They have a lot of crazy rules. From where I'm from, the child marriage is still legal,
Yeah.
and that's pretty fucked up. And we also have mild religion like Buddhism, where the only rule is that you can't eat beef or something like that. So what do you consider a cult?
I guess it's more of a personal question, but for my own beliefs, anybody who tries to control your way of life from the outside norms of like choosing marriage partners, choosing your education, can you go to higher education or not? Can you mingle outside of the group? For example, yeah, like child marriage, of course. Like anything where they can control your life more than the outside norms, I would consider that to be kind of culty. Yeah.
Yep.
So, as someone who is raised Catholic, which is kind of within Christianity, it's probably a cult, and you think everyone else is wrong. But it seems like the more we learn about it and go through education, the more likely Catholics are to become atheists and be against the religion in a way. I was just wondering, like, as you grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, how much did you actually learn about the religion? So, for example, I mean, you don't have the Trinity, so what do you think of the Holy Ghost? Or who's Jesus? I mean, like, that sort of like catechism question, is that a concern of regular people? Or is that something that only maybe a priest will, or a leader will actually delve into? Like, or the average person doesn't? Like, that sort of like theological question.
Yeah, that's good. So since we were trained to knock on doors and reason with people, we had to learn a little bit about the religions that we might come across. For example, Buddhism, there's so many sects of Christianity, and we had to learn a little bit about each religion and find the faults of each one and how it doesn't align with the script, our interpretation of the Bible. So we had books. We had there was a book called The Reasoning Book, where there's a hypothetical question that comes up and then an answer that you should kind of have in the back of your mind. And if we didn't have the answer in the back of our mind, like ready, we have to be like, hey, I'm going to come back to you next week. That's a great question. I'm going to do research. Well, I'm humble, and we'll discuss this. So yeah, we had tools. We had a lot of tools to combat that. But yeah, anytime we did face a hardcore person who was really trying to butt heads with us, it was just, we just had to walk away. Like, sorry, okay, our goal is to convert you, and you don't want to be converted, so thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep, we'll go then. Yes.
Have you ever come across any cults in Japan? I know there's a lot, so.
Yeah, again, I don't want to label, but yeah, there are preachers who try to recruit. Arigatou, oyasumi nasai. Yeah, so there are a lot I've seen. I mean, I think here being in Itoshima, like, I don't face it a lot, but I know, like, on Reddit, people are, like, always posting about, like the Fuji cult and, like, all sorts of crazy stuff. But yeah, here in Itoshima, I would say it's more LDS that try to recruit, but at the same time, I don't know how controlling they are to their members. But again, I don't want to label other groups as cults, but yeah, anyways, there are a lot in Japan, both outside and then both inside Japan as well. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Were you banned from reading any kind of literature?
Yeah, basically anything that was against our organization. So, for example, there are like books about ex-members, and of course those are 100% banned. Books are kind of like gray area, so I would say that most people could read on their own as long as they didn't discuss like what they were reading and learning about with other members, or especially the older people, the elders. Like it was probably fine. But most people have an extremely strong conscience. So if they see anything that's like, hold on, maybe this is questionable, I'm just gonna like not do this. Yeah. So books, gray area, but anything else, media, any other kind of media was like definitely black and white. Yeah. Nice question. Thanks.
Yeah.
Did you feel different or think different about music before and after leaving the cult? It seems music was already important,
Yes.
in the cult.
Yeah, that's a nice question. Music not so much, but the people behind it, 100%. So like we performed with many bands in China, Western and foreign, and I saw them as not being evil. Like the people that were creating this music, maybe it was like a bit derogatory, maybe a bit sexual, maybe a bit violent, but like these people behind the music were actually good, normal, fine individuals. And I think the music itself, like I always listened to it and I just maybe didn't pay attention too much to the lyrics, but the people that were creating the music, I 100% have I have a 180-degree change, turnaround of them. So I reconnected with a few of the people in China and told them like, hey, this is the reason why we were so awkward. This is the reason why we were so weird. And then they're like amazingly chill and fun people to be around. So I kind of wish that I could have had that thinking while I was there because it was such an amazing, cool scene to be a part of. So yeah, to answer your question, the music itself not so much, but the people, yes.
Okay, we're done. We do have one last question. I mean, we have.
Sorry.
So.
Do you hope that your own music will inspire other people to leave the church?
Yeah, I kind of don't release publicly the music because I wrote 3 songs and I kind of like just keep it private for my own personal benefit. But the other music that I create is just more fun. It's like my way of like forgetting about that past. Yeah, so eventually maybe if I feel comfortable enough, because I guess I'm super vulnerable. I don't like to share who I am. This is extremely aggravating and nerve-wracking for me to be here talking to you guys about my past because I just want to put up a shield and play fun, cool, crazy music. But eventually, I hope that I can do that and help people. But again, they'll never listen to my music if they're in the cult anyway. They know I'm a bad influence. But yeah, nice. Thank you so much for your question.
Where can they see you perform more?
Yeah, tomorrow I'm playing my real music. It's all J-rock and J-pop original songs at it's a place called Soul Kitchen. It's in Tenjin. Yeah, it's like an old yatai, but they converted it into like a 7th floor izakaya. So they have all their like cool yatai stuff, but it's like on the 7th floor. Yeah. And then you can follow me on Gaijinja on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Thanks
you.
for the opportunity.